Hey, I'm just going to take you through some of the big changes that we've had at Matrak recently. A lot of super exciting stuff. Most of it's really focused about finding ways to make it as quick as humanly possible for anyone in the construction supply chain, whether they're installers, logistics workers, suppliers, manufacturers, builders, to be able to keep information up to date and very quickly get the information they need. Um, I've got a ton to go through, so I'm going to move pretty quickly. So, starting with the new mobile app that we have. So, we've completely rebuilt the Matrak mobile app to make it as quick as possible to use. We can see here we've got the drawings page that everyone knows and loves. But what we've added is basically this list view so that you can see, for instance, every joinery item on this particular level. In terms of going in to actually tick stuff off when you're working on them. So we've added this new change status button. So for instance, we've got these two joinery items which are currently on site. I can just quickly go in and change them to installed. One of the installers we trained recently said it was basically like coloring in. It's actually just super quick to keep everything up to date. Um, on top of that, you might know a lot of people have used Matrak for quality checks, ITPs, site inspections, all of that. And so we're also making it a bit quicker for that sort of stuff. If you look next to where it says status, there's two little arrows. You can click on that to actually go through all of the different ITP information for those items. So, as an example, now we can see that this one item up here has failed one of its tests. And so then if we want to go in and see what happened, we can click view and edit, and then that sort of brings you up the view that's very similar to what we've previously had in Matrak as well. One of the other big things to make it quicker to keep up to date is we've simplified how packing information is added. So, for instance, you can quickly put in sort of a particular add this particular item to a delivery or something like that from here, and you can also quickly jump into information, for instance, about what pallet it's in, what container that pallet's in, and all of that. So it's just really quick to flick between and get all of that information. One of the biggest ones for a lot of our manufacturers and logistics companies we work with is being able to tick off items, scan QR codes for different items as they're being packed and shipped through the supply chain. So to make that a bit faster, we've got a pretty snazzy QR code scanner. I'll just quickly demo it. So it moves pretty quick, as you'll see. So we've just scanned, those different joinery items here, and you'll notice that we've also got this place in button. So what we can do with that is actually place those items into a container. So in this case, like a pallet, just by scanning it, which is really good. So now you can see those particular items are all located in that particular pallet. We can go in there and tick that pallet off, go from there. Similarly, we've got this set status button as well, so that if you're working on a production line or if you're working in a factory where you've got one particular role, like quality checks, you can actually set one of these statuses so that anytime a particular material comes to your station and you scan it with the QR code, it's automatically updated as being packed or being having a QC check done or assembly completed, etc. Um, so that's all very exciting. Couple of last things. There's I'm not going to go through all of it, but there's a ton of like quality of life features in the system as well. So, for instance, if we're looking for shipping containers, we can see immediately that there's like 23 of them. If we look at the ones that are in the ports, we can see actually there's only one of them there, so that we can go straight to that very quickly. Um, and the other cool thing is that it's actually designed to be offline first. So basically, if you're working at a warehouse or working in a basement where there's no reception, basically the system is always up to date. You can tick everything off even without internet, and then as soon as you get back to internet, it'll just save everything automatically. So that's pretty cool. So I'll go into some of the changes for the web app now. Um, so one of the first ones is that we actually have created what we call automated workflows, which sounds a bit techy, but essentially what it means is that anytime you've got products like subcomponents or contents or any sort of other items that are related to each other. So you might have you might have items on a pallet, or you might have subcomponents that go into a window. We can actually create rules so that they can keep each other up to date automatically without you needing to do manual work. So if we go in and I'll look at, for instance, here we've got like a plumbing drawing, and we've got all of the different wet areas are being tracked. But obviously within each wet area, we've also got a bunch of actual products, the actual bathroom supplies that are going into this one area. And so what we can do now is for any of those items, we can create different rules. So for instance, if one of them, there's just a rule that I've set up, if one of these gets flagged as having a defect, um, then that actually automatically updates the wet area that it's in to say that there's an issue. And so basically what it means is that if you've got site supervisors or anyone that's wanting to keep on top of things at that high level, they can have different people in the supply chain ticking off all of the really low level granular stuff, like every individual piece of glass, etc., but have all of that information flowing through to the system. So basically it keeps it really quick to update, but you're just getting the information that's relevant to you, and it can trigger notifications, assign tasks to people. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that does. Moving right along, one of the other big things, you'll see this new custom reports page on the side. Basically, we wanted it to be extremely easy for anyone to create their own reports. So here you've got this big plus button so that you can make new reports for yourself, and you can have as many as you like. For the different reports, you can sort of filter them. So here we're looking for just shipping information, so we're filtering it by containers. We can choose what information we want to see, filter it, download it to Excel, all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool from a reporting perspective to get that information that you need. But one of the things that's really cool as well is that it's actually always up to date. So I'm going on to the mobile app at the moment, and I'll change shipment to from packed to in transit as an example. And so now it updates on the system. And so what that means is essentially you can have this as like a dashboard on a TV at site in the factory, and it'll just stay up to date with any delivery requests or anything else that comes in, to make that really useful. And then one of the last and kind of biggest pieces, I guess, related to all this is we've actually made a huge improvement to how we make our data accessible for different reporting purposes. So basically, our everything that happens in Matrak can be shared via an API to any other system, which we've got integrations with Google Sheets, which this report came from, or Power BI, as well as BIM tooling, a bunch of other stuff as well. And so it lets you do really, really cool things with that data about where materials are. So for one example, here we've got the different run rates of how quickly different items are being manufactured, stored, and installed per day. Because we know the full bill of quantities for a project, all of the loose items and how many there are, we can actually say, well, if you're manufacturing 10 per day, when are you actually going to have everything completed by? And so we can set an ETD. And then if you know what the due date is, we can actually help you calculate whether you're ahead or behind schedule. So this is just one example of the stuff that we can do with the data, but the whole point of the API integration is that we can plug it into anything. So if you've got any other sort of internal systems, you can get this sort of live information around, how many containers are being shipped, how things are being packed, and so on and so forth. Cool. Well, thank you so much. A lot of cool stuff happening, a lot more to come. Actually, sorry, one last one, which is super relevant. You'll see in the Matrak web app at the moment, we've got this little chat dialogue on the bottom right-hand side. So basically with this, you can get sort of any information about how to use the system, because obviously this presentation was very quick. So you can sort of drill in and, if we want information about the desktop app and, how to invite a new company to your project, for instance, you get this cool information with screenshots and videos and stuff about how to do all of the different activities. And one of the other things that is really relevant is you can actually send us a message. So if there's anything that you want some help with, but also if you've got any feedback about the stuff that you've seen, stuff you'd like us to improve, ideas you've had that you think would be pretty sick, then yeah, let us know here and we'll get in touch and can set it up. Thank you guys so much. I'll speak to you soon. Ciao.